to the Checkpoint Church podcast. This is a show that helps nerds, geeks, and gamers feel seen, connected, and spiritually supported because you don't have to explore faith alone. Today, we've got a jam-packed show as we have the past 2 episodes and the only 2 episodes. We're going to be talking about the game, anime, and book that our clubs over on our Discord server tackled in the month of September. We're going to be unboxing the CheckBox for September, which is still not sent out. I don't know what that could be about. But just know that it will eventually be sent. So if you like to have the checkbox not spoiled for you, I will put a warning so that you make sure to skip that in the VOD, or I'll try to welcome people back in the live chat. We're also going to be talking about the debacle that is going on over at Xbox this past week. And then maybe it's just a discourse in my neck of the woods, but we're going to be talking about the current rampaging discourse that is anime political? And more importantly than really trying to answer that question, we're just going to answer why it seems to be a conversation happening right now. So who am I? I'm Nerd Pastor Nate. I'm a real life nerd. I'm a real life pastor. I find Jesus in my favorite fandoms, and I tell you all about it. This is the space where we're tying together the folks who make Checkpoint Church what it is. Whether you watch us on YouTube, whether you hang out on our Discord server, we want everybody to be a part of this show. One of our members of all of those spaces is here with us today as my co-host, and so I'm going to have them introduce themselves and kick us off with what are you watching, playing, and reading, and you let us know in the chat what you've been watching, playing, and reading as well. So take it away.
Hello, I'm DGC, a fellow member at Point, and what I've been watching lately is mainly getting through Fate, both through like the anime and then Nezumi's Fate streams, and then there's also the Xenogears stuff that I've been watching so late, which has been very interesting to say the least. Just recently watched Tron Legacy to prepare for Tron Ares next week. And other than that, just YouTube and streams. As for what I've been playing, mainly Trails. I'm getting through that. Finally got to where I'm doing store stuff again in chapter 1. I met my new party member. And then as for what I've been reading, I'm getting back and reading the Bleach manga, and then reading the Bible for doing the studies for Colossians for our church.
Very cool. So I have not read Bleach in a long time. I remember reading it for sure in Shonen Jump and enjoying it well enough. It was a manga that I enjoyed to read. I never actually watched the show. It was one that I never picked up. Maybe I will one of these days, but I feel like I got a pretty good taste of what it was in the manga. I felt pretty good about it. I did recently go on a Dan binge. I caught back up on my Dan manga over on the Shonen Jump app. And so that was really exciting. I just continue to absolutely love that show. I keep hearing that Chainsaw Man is back, but I fell off hard of the Chainsaw Man manga. And so it's potentially my next one that I'll get back into, because people, they still rant and rave about Chainsaw Man. And it just really lost me as a reader. I was so not a fan of some of the choices they made, give or take 100 chapters in. So yeah. The only reason I'm a manga only goer of Bleach, really, Twyla, there is definitely Shonen Jump. Thanks to Shonen Jump. I've never really watched beyond like a few episodes Naruto. Like I've read Naruto cover to cover. I've read the entire thing. Same goes for One Piece. I've really never watched One Piece. The only Shonen Jump manga that I may have watched the anime from after reading the manga was maybe Shaman King, but even that I only watched a few episodes. I enjoyed the reboot. I thought the reboot was a lot of fun, but I probably watched like the first season or two. Anime was hard to get back in the day. Like I remember it was like Saturday mornings or something, and it was only if you had like premium cable or whatever it was. And so I never got any of those shows. We had DirecTV. And so I watched a lot of shows on there, but I never got to see much of the anime scene. It wasn't until much older. Now, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, that was my like true bread and butter anime that I grew up on. And then Full Metal Alchemist, of course. So those are all very much in the scene, in the zeitgeist. I'm going to scroll through the chat a little bit, see what we got watch, playing, and reading happening going on. We've got a watching here from Lizzie, watching the leaves change colors and descend and friendships form. It has been a nice transition to fall. I wish the weather were a little bit more changing as well, but the colors are certainly changing and it's really nice. Twyla is playing the October game and excited to start watching the October anime. Vanna is watching Gachiakuta, which I still don't know how to pronounce, so that's my best attempt. Witch Watch, reading Viral Hitman. Let's see. Haven't read or played anything much lately, but been watching Twin Peaks: The Return. That show is super weird. Twin Peaks is one that I'd love to get back into. I didn't really like try hard enough. Whenever I went and tried to watch it, I was in college and it like didn't take, but I want to like it. It's quite the icon. T-Bone is playing finished Ghost of Glamping, still playing Cozy Grove. We love it. I have been suffering through really Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles or whatever it is, Ivalice. I want to like this game so very, very badly. I love Fire Emblem. I'm a big fan of tactics type games. I think this game does you a serious disservice right away. There are things that you need to know before you ever start playing this game, or else you won't get past the third fight. And that doesn't feel quite right to me. And so for anybody that doesn't want to hear, plug your ears for like 10 seconds. For anybody that doesn't mind hearing, there's a move that you have to learn called JP up. These are job points. If you don't keep all of your people as squires and learn JP up on the first couple levels, you will not make it past the third level of the game. And so I had to start over. I couldn't get back into the point. I had already maxed out the level, so I couldn't grind because the REs scale with you, and I didn't learn that move. So it definitely set me off on a bad note. Like, I'm enjoying the voice acting. I don't hate the play style. Like, I enjoy the play style well enough. I will say I do not like the isometric view. It's a nightmare. I don't know why anybody would enjoy this, but maybe they do. The combat itself is a lot of fun, and the job system is a lot of fun, but it is way too challenging, and there's way too many things that they should have told you. I think there's like, in game design, there's like the tutorialization effect. And I think you have to at least have some tutorialization. And they did like none of it, which was rough. So I'm going to keep pushing through. I think I'm probably 6 hours at most. And I'm going to keep pushing through to it as best as I can. It's also a little slow, so that doesn't help things, but I will press onward. I've also been playing Megabonk, which is hilariously different. There could not be a more simple yet bizarre game. This is a 3D platformer version of Vampire Survivors. It very much rips off a ton of the Vampire Survivors stuff, and in some ways, like maybe too far, like very much a ripoff, like could be sued for it if they really wanted to. And it is a time suck that is a nightmare that I had to put away because it was like, I'm wasting too much time. There's too many games to play for me to be playing Megabonk for 10 hours. I am watching Witch Watch, which is our anime of the month for October. And I'm loving it. I'm absolutely binging through it. It is fortunately available in English dub. And so I'm actually able to like watch it while doing things. I can have it on in the background so that I don't have to be paying attention to every blessed word on the screen, which is really, really nice. So I think I'm like already halfway through the season. I think I'm on episode 12. And it's only October 5th. So I have been booking it through that one. It's hilarious. It's gotten some really genuine chuckles out of me a lot. I won't go so far as to say it is as irreverent as Bobobo, but I think that the jokes that it tells when it tells them are Bobobo jokes. It's just not as nonstop as Bobobo is. And so I am really loving it. I think it's a good time. So I will continue to binge through that one and look forward to seeing where it goes. I've also started watching. I am thrilled to announce that Barry from Game Grumps, Barry Kramer, Barry was streaming, has officially started Ace Attorney Investigations 2, which is the better Ace Attorney Investigations. And I am so excited to watch him do all of it. It's my favorite thing to watch Barry play Ace Attorney games, and it has. He's almost made it through the entire series at this point. I think the only one left is Spirit of Justice after this. So he is clocking through these games, and it brings me a lot of delight to watch him again. I've been reading plenty of books. The two that I'll mention are, I just started a book that's been on Book Talk all over the place called I Who Have Never Known Men. It's like a dystopian. It's really hard to explain, and it's also something I haven't got far enough in that I can come up with a simple explanation. But essentially, it's like a group of only women who live in this like dystopian hole in the ground, and there is another one born, and we don't know, like another one's dropped into the hole or whatever. And so this person, I Have Never Known Men, is somebody that has grown up literally in like a convent like life of only other women. It kind of feels like Handmaid's Tale-esque, but I'm not quite sure where we're going to go with it yet. So I can't really like recommend it, not recommend it. I'm just reading it because everybody's talking about it and I want to know how it is. And then Chris Hayes, the MSNBC like news host, wrote a book not too long ago called The Siren's Call, talking about our attention economy on the internet. And so I'm reading through that one, very much enjoying it so far, enjoying his kind of offering of his perspective on it. I think that's somebody that literally does news, is somebody that is pretty in tune with the attention economy. So I'm enjoying catching up on what he's talking about. Yes, Barry was streaming. Any thoughts on any of that, DGC, before we move into the rest of the show?
No, I'm looking forward to starting at Witch Watch this week.
I am excited to see what y'all think of it. Have you decided how far will y'all watch 12 episodes?
We have decided that we're going to go up to the first half.
Gotcha. Yes. So for those of you that don't know, the Anime Club has gotten together for the past couple months on Tuesday nights at 8-ish, maybe?
8:15.
8:15, and watching through some episodes of the anime of the month, as well as having like a little anime quiz game to kick things off as an icebreaker. So
yep.
Definitely check that out. Be a part of that, especially if you're looking for a group of people to watch anime with. Speaking of that, we should talk about our clubs from September. So it is officially October. That means our September clubs have wrapped up. We had 3 picks, as always, one for anime, one for books, one for video games. The anime of the month was Apocalypse Hotel. The book of the month was The Plot. And the game of the month was Fantasy Life I, the girl who steals time. DGC, I did not upload your video since you
No.
were here anyway. Do you want me to try and pull that up? I'm happy to do it, but I think that, you're here.
Yeah, I think we can do without. I see, because I even know I would be here, so I think that we can do without.
Okay, well, since you're here, tell us about Apocalypse Hotel and your thoughts of it there.
So I was not expecting how it would end up going. First of all, I didn't even know it was even just going to be sub only, because that ended up bringing up some challenges because of my vision. So after each session later on, like I would have to go back and do rewatches of that. But that actually worked out in the end because I was able to go back and get the images. But I really had no idea what to expect, because I had only expect like cozy vibes, but then I ended up with something really. It ended up being really weird, but very creative, especially for an original work.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a show that didn't have any like source material, didn't have any manga to connect with. And for those that haven't gotten a chance to check it out, you should. It was really, really good. Honestly, like a high ranking anime for me. I think I gave it a 9 out of 10. Really not anything to complain about. The idea is that there is this hotel that is manned by androids and robots on an apocalyptic Earth. So Earth has already been wiped out by a plague. Some of humanity was able to get away and up into space. And one in particular, one of the people that presumably was able to get away was the hotel manager, hotel owner, who passed off these parting words to the front desk hostess, who is our main character. Kind of an aspiration of like, we'll be back, hold down the fort until we get there, and then goes off into space. And it's been what we learn to be quite a length of time, a long enough time that any of us who are humans, who are not androids or robots, would know that all of humanity has certainly transitioned from the people that left. We've certainly moved on, unless they figured out immortality. It is generations later. And so the episodes kind of go through a series of guests arriving at the Apocalypse Hotel. Of course, the hotel manager expects that to be humans, but it never is. It's always aliens. It's always somebody else showing up. Some wacky characters, some of which just kind of stay for a night or two, hang out for a short amount of time, and then some of which stick around for longer. In particular, this like species of alien that are all Tanukis, like real life. Yeah, it's hilarious. And so this family of Tanukis lands and stays involved. And of course, just like the mythical Tanuki, they can transform back and forth from human-like raccoon dogs into regular raccoon dogs, and alien regular raccoon dogs. They have a lot of fun. There's a lot of antics, and the episodes range from like tense to absolutely ridiculous to hopeful to kind of despair filled. And we'll let anybody that hasn't seen it go through to the last episode. But just to say, the final episode in particular, I am going to be writing a nerdy sermon on. It'll probably be our nerdy sermon for next week. Yay. Because it's just a really, really good conclusion. Where the story decides to land is absolutely perfect, in my humble opinion. I think the final episode was, some of the best stuff. Really, really good writing, really good concepts. Yeah. Excited to deliver that. Any other thoughts on Apocalypse Hotel for me, DGC?
I'm honestly glad that we have like the anime class, because it allows me to experience stuff like this.
Right? I can honestly say I don't know when I would have gotten to this one. I think it would have been like, it was on my list because I know it was pretty high ranking from this past season. But it was like, I have tons of anime that are high ranking that are on my backlog that I just never get to. So that is one of my favorite parts about our anime club as well, is that we get to experience anime together and make sure that we watch through them. Twilight does offer, especially moved and surprised by the sharper edges on the protagonist's journey when the show didn't even seem like a journey per se going in. Yeah, it was quite the journey. Out of left field nomination. Like I said, it was one on my list. So it was one that I knew that I'd wanted to watch, but I didn't expect it to ever get picked. So thrilled that it did. Did you read our book or play the game?
No.
Okay. So I'll book through these. No pun intended. I'll work through these in a pretty quick pace. That way we have plenty of time for the rest of the stuff. I will say that the plot was a lot of fun. Oh, T-Bone did send us a recording. Oh no, I didn't download it. Hang on. I'll see if I can get that real quickly.
The plot was an interesting read in that it kept me on my toes and I didn't want to put it down. Every time I stopped reading, I was like, did I actually have to stop reading this? And I continued thinking about it even when I wasn't reading. It is a story about a professor and their mediocrity. It's a story about masking. It's also a story about everything not being what it seems. And it will keep you on your toes. I definitely found the twist at the end to be a good twist. I saw it coming a few chapters before, but spent most of the book wondering what it was going to be. And I think if I read less, I would find it to be even more of a twist. I think it was really interesting how it layered both the plot of the book itself and the plot of the book that was being referenced through the book. But I did enjoy it so much that I have picked up the sequel, and I am excited to get into it. I haven't started it yet, but I think that the plot was definitely worth a read and was something that I wouldn't normally read if it wasn't for book club.
Okay, so I only heard the
plot-
beginnings and or the middle. I didn't hear the beginning and ending of that, but from what I heard, it sounds like me and T-Bone are very much on the same page. So this book was a unexpected one. The plot, the premise that I was pitched is that there is a student of a washed-up novelist who has the best imaginable plot. And before he gets a chance to write it, actually passes on. And so the washed up teacher ends up stealing the plot and then having to live with those choices of having stolen a plot from one of his students. And the book very much is about that, but it is a really, really good, almost King-esque. Like, I don't know if people like to be compared to Stephen King or not. It's definitely not quite as tense and spooky as Stephen King normally is, but it was a really well-written book and a really, really well-written twist, as T-Bone said. I have not picked up the sequel, unlike T-Bone, but I look forward to doing that someday. I really don't know how they could do it without giving any kind of spoilers. I don't know how it could possibly have a sequel, but it does. So I highly recommend reading it, especially if you're a fan of stories with really, really good twists. If you're a big fan of stories with really good emotional twists in them that you don't see coming. T-Bone said a couple chapters early. I really didn't. I think it was like maybe the chapter before the twist happens that I figured it out, if not the chapter of. Yeah. All I can say is it involves soup. Soup is when I figured it out. That's a spoiler-free answer for you. So yeah, that's the plot. I think I recommend it. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5, and that's a pretty healthy standing. I also see some watching, playing, reading here going on. Coyote says, watching, Hell of the Boss, playing, Disney Dreamlight Valley, Candy Critters, Spirit Wars mobile game. Reading, I actually been reading so many different fan fiction in so many different styles and fandoms that I don't know how to narrate it down except to fanfic. Cool. All right, so that is the plot. And then the last one was our video game, which was Fantasy Life I, The Girl Who Steals Time. And I got to be real, Wizen, I would love your thoughts here in the chat. I know that I'm pretty sure it was just me and Wizen that played it. I don't know if anybody else in the book in the video game club played it. But you should let us know your thoughts if you have them. I enjoyed it enough to log like 15 hours, and then Silksong came out. And I'm so sorry, Fantasy Life I, but you were not able to hold my attention through the Silksong season. And I'm really glad that this month has a much shorter game, because I'm going to need a short game considering that Pokemon is coming out in like 2 weeks. So yeah, it is what it is with these kind of games. Fantasy Life I, do I recommend it? I think it's a good game. I think that it has some really good mechanics and things to it. It was very popular for a lot of folks. It has a really strong jobs system. So you have like 3 basic worlds in this game. If you've ever played a Fantasy Life game before, I think it has like the Fantasy Life game, and then there's 2 other games. There's also a like Animal Crossing game, and then there is a like Fog of War exploration, like Zelda-like game where you're exploring dungeons and trying to clear off the map. And you've got those 3 games that you're playing, and all of them are pretty like intensive. All of them require a lot of your time and devotion and really require a lot of monotonous tasks. It is definitely very like kiddie. I think that a lot of the kid nature, the young nature of the game, the writing and all that kind of stuff made it tough for me to really click with a lot of the characters. I don't know. It was really an interesting one. I think that maybe in a different season of my life, I would have played through more of it. Wizen says sunk 70 hours in. Like, I think that if you're a fan of cozy gaming, it's pretty good. I think if you're a fan, especially of like action adventure, that I think it did a really good job with action adventure. If I had to compare it to a game, I guess maybe like a Rune Factory, but I don't think it has as good characters as Rune Factory, at least not for me. Yeah. an interesting experience. That one probably is going to end up landing at like a 3 if I have to be real. I think that maybe I could give it a 4 if I get more time. And the story itself was like interesting enough. Like I was kind of curious about the story, but yeah. They did a genre mash. Yes. Let's see. Vanna says, I enjoyed Fantasy Life. I got too hyper focused on leveling up all of the jobs though, so I haven't progressed in the story much though. Yeah, I was trying to get through the story pretty quick, and I think that was also a part of the reason. Yeah. All right. Well, unless you have any thoughts on anything that I said about the plot or Fantasy Life IDGC, we'll move into announcing this month's picks and then moving into our next segment.
I'm good.
You're good. All right. So if you want to join us, it's not too late. We're only 5 days into October. Our anime pick, you've heard it several times mentioned, but that is Witch Watch. If you want to watch it with our crew, they haven't even started, so you could watch it this Tuesday night at 8:15 on our Discord server. It is a bring your own player system. So essentially you show up on Tuesday night at 8:15 with your like Crunchyroll preloaded or whatever you want to do. You'll play like a game together, hang out for a little bit, and then queue up the system at the same time. So you'll like have a timer or something that you'll work off of so that you can get in sync and then book through the anime together. I think you watch 3 episodes at a time.
Yep.
And then you'll be watching them for the entire month of October, making it through the first half of the season, talking about it while you're hanging out. That's over on our Discord space, and we'd love to have you there. Our video game for next month, the Button Bash Brigade game, is Duck Detective. We are playing the second one. We played the first one last month or the month before, one of those.
That's quite cool.
Yes, and so now we're playing The Ghost of Glamping. I enjoyed Duck Detective well enough, and so now we are playing the second one, which is fun. So we'll get into it. It's a really short game. If you're ever like overwhelmed by the concept of playing a video game with us, because games take time and they cost money, this is a regular, like a pretty affordable game that is also a very short game, so you'll be able to get through it even if you don't have much time throughout the week to play. And then our book, I'm going to try to get this name right, but there are so many books with like titles just like this. So it's really hard for me to remember. I think it is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I'm pretty sure that's it. If you want to go find it, find our book club. But that's what it is. Fantasy light, kind of cozy book writing. I've listened to the first chapter and it's cute. It's not my genre, but that's okay because I'm still going to read through them. I have made a promise to myself that as long as I'm going to do these clubs, I'm going to watch, play, and read all of them. And so if you're curious about them, you should check it out. Library doesn't have it. That's very sad, Lizzie. Hopefully able to find a way to get your hands on it or something along those means. I don't know how much it is or even where it is, but be worth checking it out. So I will now pitch to y'all in the chat. Let me know if any of you are joining any of the clubs. If you plan to play or read or watch with us, we'd love to have you in any of those spaces. Well, the way that this works is that we have our clubs in forum groups over on our Discord server, and you can join those respective clubs, join into the threads that we're talking about them on, and continue to talk about them there. Sean, welcome into the chat. This isn't necessarily like that kind of show where we're talking about those kind of things, but I do think that SMT is a fun series to talk about from a Christian perspective, and I will consider doing a nerdy sermon on it. I had thought about doing a nerdy sermon whenever SMT 5, whatever it was, whatever they do with SMT, where it's like the remake version where they like put out the perfect version. Yeah. So I thought about it. They are games. I really love Persona a whole lot, but I have never gotten into SMT, and I would like to. And SMT 5 seems like a good opportunity. So
I tried, and
you did.
I can't get. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I as I understand it, they're just very heavy. They're much heavier than Persona is, and maybe a little bit more like gameplay heavy versus story heavy. I don't know. I will eventually but I have no problem like talking about them. I think that it would be a good series and especially ripe for Christian discussion because I think it is very much approaches some interesting theological angles that would be fun to talk about.
Agreed. Yes, there is
cool
some stuff that we get to talk.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Okay. Well, that's going to be the wrap of our club segment. We're going to move next into a quick checkbox unboxing. So again, if you are not somebody that wants to have the checkbox spoiled because these have not been sent yet, they should be sent. If not tomorrow, then hopefully Tuesday. I've got them all over there, all mostly packed. And then I just have to get them labeled, but I also have like a million other things on top of the list. So they will get sent this week, hopefully in the early half of the week. So if you don't want to know, close your eyes, close your ears, mute the stream, check the chat whenever we're done with it. We're going to get into the checkbox here. So this is the September checkbox. Our theme of the month was the loneliness epidemic. And so I was trying to really think along the lines of the loneliness epidemic for this. If you don't know what our checkbox is, this is a monthly subscription box that we do. Every single month, we ship communion elements to you for free. If you want to help us pay for shipping, then you can, but we want to make sure that you know that we offer communion every single Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we want you to join us for that every single week. And so we ship the elements to your door in a desire to get you to be a part of that experience with us, to learn what we're doing here at Checkpoint and to be a part of the spiritual community here in this space. We didn't want to just do that, though. That is the most important part, but we also wanted to make it a fun subscription box. I wanted to send more stuff to your door. And so we put together these subscription boxes full of little bits and goodies that arrive to your door. So again, the theme was the loneliness epidemic, and we're going to be talking through some of the things that you get. As always, you get snacks. This snack is actually going to be the same for 2 months in a row because it was a big, big box. But you get a trail mix, peanut butter crunch trail mix, and then there's one other this month. Also have these little Utz mini cheese balls, Halloween themed since it is October, and you'll also get them for October month. So you have a September and October. The mummy wrapped Rice Krispie treats, you also get that. And the last food item is you get some Gushers, fruit Gushers. So the truth behind the Gushers, for any who are ever curious as to like why do you always have Gushers? That is because I love Gushers. And what I get to give to y'all, I have leftovers of, and so I get the opportunity to get Gushers. Yeah. And then, of course, we have the communion elements that are sent to you each every month, one for each week of the month. Now let's get to the rest of the stuff. The other things that come in each and every box, you always get a coloring page. We're running to the end of this book of coloring pages. And then you also get 2 crayons. I try to go with alternating sides of the color spectrum. Or at the very least, I try not to give you 2 reds, is what I'm saying. Try to give you 2 things that are at least vaguely different. And then you also get 2 Lego pieces each and every month. The Lego pieces are randomized. I grabbed them out of a big bucket of Legos. And this person is going to get a 6x1 orange and a 4x1 lime green. And the idea behind these is that you build yourself a trophy for however long you've been subscribed. So the more Lego pieces that you have, the more impressive your trophy will be, and it's never too late to get started. Okay, so now you get 3 things this month for the checkbox that are unique. One of them is actually a 3-in-1. So this is the one I'm probably the most excited about. So maybe I'll end with that one. They're all exciting. The cool one here is we have a sticker. Let's see if I can get it. This is a little custom made sticker that I ordered everyone that says internet friends are real friends. Internet friends are real friends. It's super cute. It's got a little cat on it. It's a very fun little sticker that you'll be getting this month. I fully intend to put mine on my guitar case. And then this is something that is, meant to symbolize whenever we do communion every week, we have this big purple button online that we press to symbolize our like oneness, to be a symbol of what we're doing in this space. And so I wanted a physical representation of that, something that we could all have, that we know that anybody that gets this checkbox delivered to them, they have something that they can touch to feel a tangible example of the community that we've built. And so everybody's going to be getting a little Checkpoint poker chip here. And so you can be touching a poker chip, kind of like a button. It was the closest thing I could think of that was button-esque. Also, I just really like the way poker chips feel. So there you go. You get your cool little Checkpoint poker chip. Everybody gets those this month. And then this one is a really fun one and is also the reason why I wanted to do this live, because I want to have the ability to clip this and send it out. So everybody's going to be getting 3 postcards. 3 postcards this month. So you're going to get a Ghibli postcard, a Dungeons and Dragons postcard, and a Marvel postcard. And what I want people to do, this is the ideal. What I want people to do, I'm going to also be giving you an envelope that you can send back to me. I want you to fill out 3 postcards randomly. So don't write them to anyone in particular, but fill them out like you would. Let that be, an encouraging note or just a kind message or something that you want to tell somebody to affirm them as the nerd that they are. And I'm going to collect as many of these as I can and start sending them out to our new folks. So whenever we have people that join level 2, whenever we have people that maybe fill out the address form online for us or something, I want to send them postcards that just have affirming messages from members of the community. So that is a way that we can fight back against the loneliness epidemic, is to encourage one another through the means of good old fashioned pen and paper. So everybody will be getting those, and I encourage you to use them, fill them out, and send them back to me so that you will be able to touch the next iteration of Checkpoint folks that join in. Okay. There's also 2 things that you can do. So like I mentioned, that checkbox, absolutely free, or you can pay $5 to help us with shipping, but it's free. You can also choose to upgrade your checkbox into a premium option. The premium option is more than the item that we give you. We give you another little bonus goodie, but it also is kind of like a sort of donation. So the gist is this month, again, we're talking about the loneliness epidemic. And so for me, whenever I am feeling lonely, I like to play games. And so as a reminder of playing games, and also a reminder for how we can reach out to other people, I think that it'd be nice to always have a game on hand. And so everybody will be getting all the premium people will be getting a fit in your pocket gum stick card game. So if you want this, that is what you're going to be getting. Everybody's going to be getting a different one. There were a bunch of these, and so I just grabbed up several, but this is a fully fleshed card game that fits in your pocket. This one in particular takes 10 minutes to play. It's only for 2 people. And yeah, so I thought this was a neat idea for people to have the opportunity to get to make a friend through the power of gaming. And not have to worry about carrying around a game that takes up, a backpack. This one literally just fits in your back pocket, and all of them are different. And maybe you can let me know which one is the best one. And then finally, we also have a book of the month. The book of the month this month, not to be confused with our book club. This is another thing where you help us by financially supporting us, and we send you a book that costs less than your donation there. And the book this month is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. If you have not read this book, it's very, very good. It is a story about somebody who is an introverted introvert who introverts all the time and doesn't ever want to get out of the house, a true recluse, until she maybe meets somebody that wants to get her outside of her ordinary. So very weird character, very fun character. And this is the book of the month that one or whoever orders that will be getting. So that is the checkbox. I hope that you enjoyed that look. If somebody wants to drop in the chat and say that we are no longer doing the checkbox, no more spoilers. Spoilers are over for anybody that wants to come back to the show. That is our checkbox segment. Okay. Let's see. No more checkbox. We are good. Rather than recapping the trips, let's ixnay that, since we're already kind of getting close to our time. But
yeah, I figured that would probably get axed.
Yeah. Yep. And then we'll probably, if you have anything with the nerdy sermon, then we can, but otherwise we can cut that as well. I did see some cool things in the chat that I want to make sure that I answer and try to talk to. We did have a little conversation there about Prof Noctis. I will give Prof a shout out about to start a dual series. So I think Tuesdays. Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think, is his stream schedule. And he's going to be playing a game each. And so on Tuesdays, I think, is Nier. He'll be playing through the Nier series, which he's not experienced before.
So what he's doing, he's doing, the first hour is going to be Nier, and then the second hour is going to be Tactics. Now, he would have done more Tactics, but he said he wanted to let that simmer. So we start up Tactics again this today. I think we're going to be
Gotcha.
going to chapter 2.
Yes. So if you're curious about watching Prof Noctis play games, he does a fantastic job of coming up with a very educational, like theologically heavy stance on entering into games. He's a real life professor that tackles video games. And so, yeah, exciting stuff. If you're curious about Nier, which is very heavy, like very capable of having a lot drawn out of it. And then you've got the Evilus Chronicles or whatever it is. And I can say that so far it's been very heavy. Yeah, very, very heavy as well. So I think he's going to have no trouble getting a lot out of both of those. Excited. I watch his streams, so I'll give a shout out as somebody that I watch. And then Wizened also asked, is there a sign up right now for the checkbox? We are currently in between checkboxes. So the October checkbox has just finished its sign up. The November checkbox sign up will be going live in 10 days. And so October 15th is when you can expect the November checkbox sign up to be live. And we would love to have you there. And then to answer, I know Steph's question there. If you do communion at a normal brick and mortar church, can you do Checkpoint communion? Absolutely. If you are uncomfortable at all, feel free to talk to your church about it. But in the Wesleyan tradition, we have no problem with that. You can take communion as often and as many times as you would like. Of course, there's also, different faith traditions that don't necessarily affirm all methods of communion. So they for instance, like if you're a Catholic, you might not see what we do as communion because you don't see it as being a part of the lineage. And so, of course, there's the Protestant Catholic thing going on. And then we're also have within our own Protestant movement some division over who can do what, when, and where. But for us, we believe that you can offer communion through digital means, especially since we ship it to you. I pray over it. And then we also go through the full liturgy of incarnation. So, come and see, check it out. You don't have to if you don't want to, but you can still join us. So yeah, that would be fun. Okay, let's get into the Xbox situation. We can go over this one pretty quickly. Xbox they've had a rough month. They've had a really rough month. They started out in September by announcing the price finally on the ROG Ally. If you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's a competitor to the Steam Deck put out by Asus ROG Ally, and they are pretty expensive. So you have like the base level Ally that I think is 500, maybe 600. And then you have the premium Ally, which is 900. Xbox is doing their own skin on it. So you'll have an Xbox Game Pass button on it. You'll have Xbox interface kind of built throughout it. And it's going to be an extra 100 on top of the premium option. So the Ally Xbox is going to be a solid grand, which is too much money. Like it's too expensive for Game Pass. I gotta be real. Like I'm a big fan of a Game Pass machine, but I'm willing to do my Steam Deck workaround to play Game Pass on my Steam Deck and save me, $500. So I think that they have been really holding out on announcing the price. And I think this is why, because they know that it's a bad price. They got to make money how they got to make money. They got to make the choices they got to make, whatever. They're going to look out for the consumer when they do, and they're going to look out for their stakeholders when they do. And like, that is the way that the world works. But we don't have to support it by buying their consoles. So I think that it is a rough pass there. I would not have expected the ROG Ally to have been a full grand for a gaming console that is really meant for streaming. And then on top of that, you have them doubling down, really making two bad choices. You really shouldn't make two announcements like this right next to each other, but they did. The Xbox Game Pass is also going up in price across the gamut. So a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, they branched out their Game Pass into multiple tiers. And so they started offering Xbox Game Pass, PC Game Pass, Essential, Premium, Ultimate Series, all of these various things. So they have a lot of different options for people that give various different amounts of games. But this is essentially a monthly subscription model that allows you to have access to a library of games. I think the price originally was like it was only $10 and it was for everything. And then it went up to 15, and then they started branching out into like 3 different tiers. And so they currently they just announced the latest price increase, which puts Essential, which is their smallest one, is now $10 a month, which was the original price. So that's kind of what they're offering. What are these 50 games? I'm sure you can find them online. It's cloud gaming. It has in-game benefits for Riot Games. You have access to online console multiplayer, and you can also have the option, I think it's funny they put this on the form, to play and earn up to $25 a year in the store with rewards. So you can use their reward system. Cool. That's the $10 option. So only 50 plus games. So it's definitely the smallest chunk of their library. The next one is Premium. That's 200 plus games, $15 a month, where you get new published games. So Game Pass has had this kind of gamut for a while at the Game Awards and in advertising of doing this thing at the end of their trailers that they put play day one with Game Pass. And that's been a pretty enticing offer. Now they're saying, okay, we're going to lock that to our ultimate tier. Premium tier, you're going to publish the games that have been published within a year are going to be playable. Probably not day one. So the day one thing is kind of going to be ousted of the $15 range, which it certainly used to be within. And then you've got the same things as the other ones. You've got unlimited cloud gaming with shorter wait times, all the other things that you could expect from the other tiers. And then you have the not new tier. You've had the ultimate tier for a while, but the ultimate tier has just kind of changed. So there's more games, 400 plus games being available on here. 75 plus day one games a year, which I think is a huge promise. I think that's a really, really big deal to promise 75 day one games. So that's the thing I was just talking about, where they released a trailer and it says play on Game Pass day one. That's going to be a hard get, I think. I mean, I don't know. Xbox has a lot of publishers. They have a lot of people that they publish with and through, but that's a lot of games to do day oneers of. Nonetheless, that is definitely the most enticing part of this offer. The others are that this is what is now being locked with Ubisoft Plus and EA Play, and then also the Fortnite crew, which a lot of people are saying that is the best part of this deal. I'm not a Fortnite player. I can't speak to that, but a lot of people are excited about that aspect of this. And then you have the exact same things, except the in-store rewards one is up to $100 instead of $50 for premium, $25 essential. So more rewards for more price. So that's the situation. Ultimate, the one that I just mentioned, has gone up from $19.99 to $29.99, a 50% increase, $30 a month. That is really expensive. $360 a year is a lot of money to be paying for these games. The old adage of Game Pass was always, well, how many games am I getting and how much would they cost me otherwise? And so it was like, okay, $10 a month and I get to play every new game they come out with. That's $120 a year. That's 2 games. That's 2 $60 games that I'm getting. I'll at least play 2 games a year. Now we've changed the tune. I don't know many people. I know a lot of people that don't even play 6 games a year. And so the likelihood that you're going to get 6 games and they're also going to be on Game Pass just per chance, which maybe they will because it's 75. The price per unit situation here is kind of weighing down on the scale, and they're starting to tap out on the amount of time that they've had offered here. So yeah, this is the situation as it currently stands. People are really mad about this. They're really mad about the price increase. I have heretofore had Ultimate, and I will probably go down to Premium for this. If I need to upgrade for a month at a time for day one games for Checkpoint, then I'll do that. But like, no longer am I just going to kind of like set it and forget it for the Ultimate tier. So it's made it now no longer worth it for me to keep up a subscription, and instead just to pop into a subscription whenever I need it and then pop back down for the other ones, especially since it's on a month-to-month basis. So a really interesting time to make this choice. I think that the internet has responded pretty strongly to this choice, pretty against it. We have a lot of people that are canceling their Game Pass. We have GameStop coming in and saying, hey, look, as long as we have $20 cards, we're going to keep offering Ultimate for $20. I don't know if that's their plan permanently, like if they're subsidizing and eating that $10 cost. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with it or what the next steps are for it. I think that this is the market doing what the market do. But I'm not a fan of it by any means. I think that it's never a good idea to take away something that people are getting for free. Now, technically Game Pass was never free, but they are definitely like moving things around that were previously included on lower tiers to higher tiers. And I think that's going to, that's a risky choice. That's a risky choice to make. I feel like I've talked enough about this. DGC, what are your thoughts?
It's pretty bad. I mean, Xbox has just been making some pretty bad decisions. We had the layoffs, then we had the raise in prices for the consoles, and now this. And it's just a really bad situation.
I forgot that. Yeah. So the Series X and Series S console all raised as well in price, I think by $100. Yeah. And on top of layoffs, like it feels like at a certain point, how much is, enough. Of course, like as Twig, our hearts were always with those who were losing their jobs. Like that was our biggest concern, was like, hey, this just keeps happening. They keep doing layoffs, and it's gotten to a point that it's a bit absurd. But then on top of those layoffs, they're raising prices, and so it's like, when is it going to stop? When are we going to meet in the middle? When are things going to level out? Because it's beginning to feel like they're just hungry. I think that there's, it's hard to say that Microsoft doesn't have enough money. It's also impossible to know what situation goes on behind closed doors for these people. And so I don't know, but I do know the kind of stuff that's happening with open doors. And that's that a lot of people are losing their jobs, and that it doesn't seem like there's any kind of stability. And so for me, if I was especially like somebody working for Xbox, I would be like, still, like, how stable is my job? Because if you've done all these layoffs and you're still having to raise the prices, am I safe? I would feel really nervous. And so my heart breaks for those people who are in that position and are just like wondering what to do. Like, is my job secured? Which maybe that's just a reality of working in game development, is that there is an ennui towards job security, and that shouldn't be that way, but it seems to be the situation as it stands. Yeah. Do let us know in the chat. Let us know if you have any further thoughts about this one, or if there's anything else that you've heard through the grapevine. I will be very interested to see if they back off of this at all. I really don't think they will. I don't think Xbox is one to do that. Like, I don't think they back off, I think that once they've made their call, it's been thought through and pushed through all of the fields that it can be pushed through. We've seen that there is a voice of the people. I think we saw that through the Disney situation last month. And so there is, like, subscriptions do make a difference. And the single person that cancels their subscription, if enough people do that, it does make enough of a low end impact that things get changed. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I would not have thought a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, I would have never thought that Nintendo Switch Online would be the best deal in gaming. Like, if you had told me that, I would have said there ain't no way, because it's not really that good. Like, NSO is fine at best, but I tell you what it is. It's cheap. It's $50 a year. Like, they haven't really budged much on their price, and they just keep offering more things. And like, if you look at the libraries of Game Boy Advance and N64 games, and like, they just keep on expanding them, and the price never goes anywhere. So I think they have like the household acclaim for right now, that they're riding a high, whereas Xbox just seems to be constantly clambering, constantly desperate. Yeah. Yeah, see a family pass working. I could see a family pass. I don't even think they have a yearly option. I think they should probably get a yearly option from Microsoft. I don't know why they wouldn't offer that. And it feels like they certainly have the wherewithal and the systems in place that they could do that. But something. And you need that NSS subscription if you want to play your Virtual Boy Revival gadget. Well, I'm sure I'll not be able to put the Virtual Boy down, Twyla. I mean, how am I going to be able to stop playing such an innovative machine? There's no way. I'm going to be spending all my time on that bad boy. So I'll keep up my NSO just for that alone. Yeah. So funny. So funny. Okay. So that's the Xbox situation. Like I said, let us know your thoughts if you got them in the chat or in the comments on the VOD. DGC, did you have any thoughts on our last week's nerdy sermon? We had a Hollow Knight sermon. I tell you who did have thoughts, and that was everybody in the comments. But I would love to hear if you had any feedback on that one. The gist was the Hollow Knight is a hero that fails in the act of attempting to atone for the sin, the darkness, the void that is affecting Hollownest. Yeah, so that's the gist of the concept. And then Jesus comes along and is, an atoning figure that is sufficient, like is capable of being an atoning figure, whereas the Hollow Knight was not. Yeah, what thoughts did you have on that one, DGC?
I don't really have much thoughts in there.
No. Well, it's an interesting experience for sure that this one has gone out. And I kind of knew this would happen. Like I definitely expected whenever I put out this sermon that there were going to be people coming after me for the lore. For those of you that don't know, okay, Hollow Knight is a game that is Metroidvania that is mixed with Dark Souls in the sense that it is incredibly punishing, unforgiving, and challenging. And so in order for you to actually like get through the story of the game, which is already obtuse, like it's already an abstract story, you really have to piece a lot of the things together on your own. It's not like a Dark Souls that, gives you 10,000 pieces of paper to read everywhere so you can piece the story together on a literal note. It leaves a lot up to your intuitiveness. There's a really deep lore to Hollow Knight. And I studied this lore. I went over it again and again and again, trying to make sure that I got all of the language correct, trying to make sure that I got the history correct, trying to make sure that I explained things adequately. And apparently I did not, because people on the vertical feed, so on our actual video, people are fine. But on our vertical feed, people are very mad at me for talking about this because they say that the Hollow Knight is an atoning figure in some of the endings. And so I'll say this officially on film. This is into the camera so that you can all hear this from me right here. I am not talking about the character that you play as. Everybody keeps thinking that, but I'm very intentional in my verbiage. I do make one slip up and I apologize for that. I call him a little guy, but I call a lot of people little guys. And so that's on me. I shouldn't have said little guy. I had the knight on the brain. And so I called him a little guy. The Hollow Knight is a different character from the knight that you play as. The titular Hollow Knight is what's happened before the game begins. So before you actually start playing, there is another character in the game called the Hollow Knight who is sent before you and fails at the task. And people don't like that I didn't explicitly say every time I mention the Hollow Knight, I'm talking about the Hollow Knight, the one from the beginning of the game before you start. So yeah, it's been an interesting time for sure. And there was also one person that just said like, are we really comparing Hollow Knight to Jesus right now? And I was like, welcome aboard. We've been doing this for, we've been doing this for a long time. Like, yes, I am doing that. And I've been doing that. This is nothing new. You're new, but this is nothing new. And that actually works really well as a transition into our next topic, because I'm probably going to have a very similar stance to my stance about a lot of things that we talk about here. But there is currently a situation going on, at least in my neck of the woods. So I don't know if everybody is dealing with this right now, but maybe you're seeing this conversation. I've seen a spike in it recently. So the conversation goes like this: is anime political, or is anime not political? That's the conversation that seems to be going on. This comes from a lot of different places. There's a lot of different origins if you pull back on the threads and start to look for it. In particular, there is a podcast clip of an anime podcast where they had on political commentator Hassan Piker, who talks about One Piece and talks about how it is a deeply political anime. And some of the members agree, some disagree, but it sparks debate. You have another situation going on right now where there is political discourse, disrest across the world in places like Nepal, where some of the young protesters in Nepal are waving One Piece flags. So like there's a strong sense of what's going on, and like, is it political? Is it not? In response to both conversations happening from commentators and from real world events that are clearly taking from like imagery that we have, symbology that we have in anime, you have people debating, arguing back and forth about whether it is, whether it isn't. Is anime that deep? Maybe it's not that deep. Is anime political? Maybe it isn't political. That's the big debate that I'm talking about here. And so that sets us up to like where we're before we say what is the answer or the thought. Do you think did I explain all of the facets there well, DGC, or do you have any other insights into the history of it?
You got it.
Okay. Good. So that should sum it up pretty well. Twyla says, listening before I yell my take into the chat. Wizen says, historically it is political, but I'm not in the anime world at all, so my opinion may be taken with a grain of salt. Little Miss Lizzie says, I unfortunately can see how everything is technically political in some way. So that's kind of where I'm going to approach this from. Regardless of where you land or where you don't land in this kind of thing, the magic of what we do at Checkpoint. I'll let you on a quick diatribe. We'll take a peek behind the curtain with Wizard of Oz. The magic of why Checkpoint works. For those of you that don't know, we put out a nerdy sermon almost every week, now every other week, where we dive into video games, anime, Marvel movies, TV shows. And what I do is I draw out some kind of moral or truth or untruth even from pop culture. And then I take a scripture, I draw out an identical or a dissonant truth, something that either speaks to it in a good way or a bad way, but it speaks to it in some way, what we had just drawn out of the pop culture. And then I draw those two things together and I say, look at these two things. Isn't that cool? Here's what that means for you today. Here's what you can learn from this. And what I'm doing, what that actually is, what's going on in that act, is what we kind of like to call metaphorical theology. There's a lot of different names for this kind of thing, but what I'm playing with is I'm playing with metaphor. I'm playing with story. I'm playing with what's going on in these two worlds. And so whenever I compare Jesus to the Hollow Knight, or rather whenever I compare what Jesus is not to the Hollow Knight, I'm not saying that the Hollow Knight is Jesus. Obviously, the Hollow Knight is not Jesus. The developers of Hollow Knight, I don't think have ever come out as being a religious entity. I don't think Team Cherry has ever talked about an allegory here. They've never said any kind of religious overlap necessarily. They do have commentaries on religion, especially on Silksong. But there's no, it's not, right? It's not literally religious. But at the same time, because I'm speaking it into existence, because I'm speaking the metaphor, because I'm analyzing what's happening, it is. And so the answer, in a sense of metaphorical theology, is that we live in this paradoxical experience where it is and it is not. Hollow Knight is like Jesus and is not. All at once, these two things are true because these things are art. And so that's kind of where I'm going to be landing as well with, is anime political? It is, and it is not. It's unquestionable that there are ways that it is very much like richly tapping in to some of the political discourse and debates of history. Some of them are literally political. Like if you want to talk about Elusive Samurai, that is actually a historical, like fictionalization of a political thing that really happened. So sometimes it really is. But also, One Piece is about a silly, stretchy boy. So it is not. Like you've got both things. Both things are happening at once. And so what actually happens is in the conversation, in the exploration, is where you discover the paradox of is and is not. And that's not a bad thing. That's a reality of art. Whenever something is art, whenever something is put out into the world that tells a story or that presents an idea, it both is and is not what it can be made of. And so just like in our video on Can Christians Watch Anime, this is a very similar answer. Can anime be political? It can, but it doesn't have to be. We have the opportunity to analyze anything around us in the work of metaphor. Like that is the very work of what we do. And so for some, they're going to be approaching these things and they're not going to have either the chops or the back knowledge or the awareness of what's going on. But that doesn't mean that the metaphor can't be made. And I think that if you're looking for like proof of this, we have 170 plus examples of how this is real. It both is and is not. So that's what I'm going to present as kind of my thesis to these things, is that we shouldn't really even be asking this question because it's a silly question. We're trying to put parameters around art when I think that art in and of itself is a thing that is explored. Yeah. What does that do for you, DGC? I see a lot of thoughts in the chat that we'll read through as well.
So for me, I view it as basically what you said, how it's basically art. And like all art, it reflects life and our culture. And sometimes it will, and sometimes it'll show those political themes. Sometimes it won't. So yeah, I think the way how you summed up was a good way of looking at it, especially from a metaphorical theological lens.
Yeah, hopefully so. That's what I'm hoping to get across. And then my second point that I really want to relate this to, like, just like we do with our nerdy sermons, of like a so what. So within Wesleyan theology, within this like realm of Wesleyan thought, we have this concept that you'll sometimes hear attributed to John Wesley, the founding father of this Protestant movement, that there is no holiness but social holiness. And what we mean whenever we say that, what that quote is really getting across at, is that there is no way to separate our pursuit of holiness, that is, our living as Christians, from society. There's no way that we are capable of removing our pursuit of holiness from the community, from the people around us. Like there is a unbreakable link, an inseparable link between our lives and the other lives of those around us. We're a part of something greater. And this is a call towards community. So hence social holiness. And this is why I do what I do. The reason that I talk about anime, the reason that I talk about video games, the reason that I talk about these things is because they're happening in community. They are the current pieces of art that are being discussed. Like they are what people are watching. They are what people are playing. They are what we are doing as a community. And so whenever I'm in this space, I'm reaching out to nerds, geeks, and gamers, entering into a social holiness. I'm pursuing holiness through video games and anime. And so for us, the idea of the is and the is not of the relationship that's happening between is anime religious? Like that's another way of asking the question, right? Is anime religious? We're approaching that with it is and it is not, because we understand that the things that we consume, the media that we experience, is a part of our pursuit of holiness. It happens in community. And so we should feel ourselves beholden to the art that is created, because often that art and the way it's being experienced, especially politically, is important to us in the way that we experience the world, in the way that we pursue justice. And so there is, Twyla says there, the hypostatic union within media. There is a kind of, there is no holiness but social media holiness. There is no holiness but pop culture holiness, but the way that we pursue the community that is surrounding around these things. And so in our acts of pursuing these things, we discover where is the need, where is the lack, where is the pursuit of social justice that we need to be pursuing. Like, that is where we find them, in my opinion, through art. It's not where everybody finds them, but I think it's where nerds, geeks, and gamers find them. And so the discourse itself, I think, is anime political, speaks to a larger discourse happening of, does anime unite us? Does anime speak and spark community? And I don't think you have to look much beyond Comic-Con, like, to see that anime unites people, and anything that unites also has the capacity to divide. And so we have to understand these sort of things within these two realms of comprehension at once. I think I've said enough words, and I think we've got a nice little like steak to chew on here. If there's more that we want to make sure that we bring up, let me know. We could always keep having this conversation over the next couple of episodes, or try to draw it out in other conversations. If you would like to have the conversation with me, if you ever want to dive into it, then feel free to engage with me during our Sunday night hangouts or whatever it may be. Like, that is an important part of all of this as well. But I think that's where I'll land the plane. There is, anime both is and is not political, depending on how we are metaphorically understanding it and exegeting it. And because of the fact that it is in a paradox of is and is notness, it also is directly connected to our sociality and our social holiness and the society that we live in. We live in a society, and so we have to take it that way. Cool. I love it. Lizzie says, this reminds me of the do you know how to parallel park? I know kindness, love, and joy, and isn't that what really matters in a good way? Yes, exactly. Cool. I will give another quick shout out before we get into our closing remarks here, and that is to say, if you have yet to check out our IndieGoGo campaign, we have an IndieGoGo campaign happening right now to pay for the next suite of nerdy sermons. If you would like to help us pay for the next season of nerdy sermons, these are video essays that have gone out across the world, literally. We have reached over 1 million views at this point, between 150 plus, 170 plus videos. If you would like to be a part of affording the next 12, then check out our IndieGoGo. Give what you can. We have tiers of support, different levels that we need your support behind. But if you are able to support us financially in this way, we desperately need your help to continue supporting this work that we do. And we would love to have you be a part of that. Join the Discord. I'll try and drop the IndieGoGo link maybe while DGC is sharing our thought on the next part. So do check out our IndieGoGo. I'll drop the link in the chat here in just a moment. But before that, we're going to get into the way that we were closing the Checkpoint Church podcast, which is answering the question of how did you checkpoint this week? Whenever we say this, we're trying to make checkpoint into a verb. This means, how did you live online? How did you become an embodied person online? How did you engage within community online in the past week? I'll let DGC start while I go find this link. So DGC, how did you checkpoint this week?
Well, I'm continuing to do the two-day checkpoint whenever I can. And then working Level 2 Studio with Twyla, and working on getting our story for what's going to pop up. And then, of course, coming here to help host with the podcast.
No, I sent the wrong link. I tried so hard.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, and it won't let me delete the message on YouTube. Ignore that on YouTube. It's not real. All right, hang on. I'll keep trying. That's the right one. IGG.me. Check out the IndieGoGo there. We'd appreciate it. I am going to Checkpoint tonight at our Mana and Mingle hangout from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join us, we will be hanging out over on the Discord server for 2 hours there, again, with communion at the hour mark. And my plan for today, I am particularly excited. I cannot wait to get into this. So my checkpoint is going to be building this bad boy. I don't know if anybody's seen the new Lego Game Boy, but I am hyped as can be about putting this together. So if you want to watch this being built live, we're going to be doing that together. And you can live vicariously through my childhood dreams being achieved by building this Lego Game Boy. And I do have its counterpart like right here that I'm going to be comparing the size to. I think it's a 1-to-1 ratio, but I am excited to show both. So feel free to hang out with us in that space. Looks like we're going to have some VR chat, screen sharing happening as well, some world happening as well. But plan to be there 8 o'clock Eastern time. At 9 o'clock Eastern is going to be communion. And I think that's the end of the show. We weren't a full hour and a half this time, but we were pretty doggone close, DGC. I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how we're ever going to get underneath an hour and a half. It's so hard.
Yes.
It's so hard to stick to an hour, but I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. I hope the chat's having fun.
Yeah.
And enjoying the show at the very least. But it's tough to get it down to an hour. Any closing thoughts from you, DGC, before we wrap up?
I'm just glad to be able to come on. You know, I'm not feeling 100% today.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you being able to join us. Even when you aren't feeling 100%, you're still here with us, and that's super cool. And we appreciate it very much. Chats in the cloud for DGC. Appreciate you being our guest, our co-host today. I have been Nerd Pastor Nate, a real-life pastor, a real-life nerd here on this space. And this has been Checkpoint Church, a real-life church for nerds, geeks, and gamers. This is the Checkpoint Church podcast, drawing that community together. If you are somebody that wants a space that welcomes the nerd, the geek, the gamer in you, and also the spiritually curious person that you are, this is the place, because we believe 3 things to be true about every single one of you. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hey God, hate church, any of those things, we still believe these 3 things to be true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you here at Checkpoint Church. Number 3, that you matter. You're a person of sacred worth. The world's a better place. Why? Because you are in it. All right, folks, with that, and until the next time that I see you, hopefully tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern on our Discord, discord.gg/checkpointchurch. I look